I am so excited that today we get to talk about my puppy.
I was going to ask you because I don't know if you know this, I don't think I've actually openly admitted it to you. I have been vicariously living through your social media pictures of your
Ah,
puppy. I
yes.
I've been contemplating in our household whether we're going to bring another animal into the whole fold. Our dog passed away last year after
Oh,
12 glorious, glorious years of love.
yeah.
And the whole puppy thing seems so
Hmm.
amazing. But then I remember all the work too. And
Oh,
so
yes. Oh,
I'm
yes.
interested to hear all the stories, all the stories.
I feel like that's a shameless plug for my Instagram, where if you want to see the puppy pictures, just head on over to @JoeMull77, and you'll get to meet Flash. So Flash is a Dalmatian. I have wanted a Dalmatian my entire life, and I'm very much a dog person. I grew up with dogs. My mom used to train dogs, so we're very much a dog family, and I have rescued and raised a number of incredible dogs. Every dog I had prior to this one actually was a rescue, and we had a beautiful lab mix named Lady who lived 16 years and passed away 2 years ago. In that 16 years, we had a border collie and who was just a ton of fun. His name was Tramp. Yeah, our dogs were Lady and Tramp. Don't at me. Just let that go by, people. And so we went about 2 years without a dog. And to be honest, we were good with that. I travel a lot for work, or I used to. And we try to do a lot of family stuff, family trips, family gatherings, and so not having to worry about the dog was really great for a while. But then we came into 2020 kind of going, let's maybe start thinking about this again, because it does feel like it completes our household.
Mm.
And my middle child, my son Miles, had started asking, "Can we get a dog? Can we get a dog?" And
Mm.
at the time, he was 7.5, and so very much in that age range of a boy who wants a dog.
Yes.
But an interesting thing happened when the global pandemic arrived. Everybody got a puppy. So the first thing we did is we said, if we're going to get a puppy, let's look to shelters. Let's look to rescue. And here's the thing. I have 3 kids. Now they're 10, 8, and 4. If I'm going to bring an animal into my home, it has to be a puppy. An older animal coming in with some potentially pre-existing conceptions and relationships with kids,
Yep.
I need that animal to be raised from the jump with my kids,
Totally get
especially my 4-year-old who's a bit of a lunatic.
it. But we love him too.
Oh, he's a doll baby. He is the joy of our lives. But oh man, um, we there is nothing he can't climb. And at 4, he still has not spoken a word in his life. He only yells, Alyssa. Everything is top volume. He's like, "Daddy, can I have some juice, please?" And you're like, "I'm sitting right here. Why is there yelling?"
Because I'm that intense. That's the
Yes.
that's the level of kid that I had from the start,
Ah,
and that's why I only have the one. That's
yes.
it.
Yes.
That's one.
So long story short, when puppies were really unavailable through rescue, through shelter, we started toying with this idea of kind of having this little dream come true for me. I had always wanted a Dalmatian as long as I can remember, and so fast forward, and in August we adopted Flash, and someday I'll tell you the story about the naming because it's really funny. I'll really quickly. I'll just tell you now. I told my wife we're not letting the kids name the dog, okay? Because it's going to end up being something stupid like Spot or Oreo or Pongo, right? Something too cliched for our Dalmatian. I said, so I feel like we just need, we were going to surprise, both of my sons have August birthdays. So we were going to surprise them and say, happy birthday. Next week, we're going to pick up our puppy.
Okay.
And his name is blank.
Gotcha.
But we were really struggling to figure out the name. And so I forget what we settled on actually now. But at their little just us birthday gathering, we had them unwrap, and there was a picture of now Flash.
Okay.
And they opened the picture, and they're, oh my gosh, we're getting a puppy. And my sister-in-law yells, what are you going to name it? And without missing a beat, my two oldest kids at the exact same time yelled, Spot! And inside I'm going, no. And I said, well, we'll see. Maybe we should meet the dog first, and maybe we'll tell you some of the other names we were thinking about, and then we can all decide together to not name him Spot. Not name the Dalmatian puppy Spot. So we ended up, we had to drive a good distance to pick him up. And when they met him, one of the names that we had on our list was Flash. And they said, we think we should name him Flash. So that's how he got his name. But anyway.
Excellent.
So are you thinking about a particular breed?
No.
Or are you thinking about a particular timeline?
We had also a rescue. She was a Lab Shepherd mix previously. Here's what I struggle with is we had 2020 for us was to be our first year of not having that commitment of the dog. And so we had this amazing vacation to an all-inclusive plan, and it was going to be amazeballs. And we had this other vacation plan, and of course, none of that actually happened. And then my kid wanted to do, and we decided it was best for our family to do remote school. So now we have all this togetherness, right? And
of which there is no escape.
Correct. And he's of the ripe age of 6.5, and he wants that dog too. And on one hand, I think like, oh, the boy, he's an only child. He should have a best friend that, that he can actually touch and feel right now. And I think that would be really great and good. And then the other part of me, I want to kind of negatively name it for myself to say the selfish part of me wants to go, but that's a really big commitment. It's not just for the right now, right here, to give him a companion, because in 6 years, he's going to be down the road playing with lots of other real human boys and girls. And guess who's going to be walking that dog? Guess who's going to be feeding that dog? Guess who's going to be pooping or scooping the poop out of the yard? That's yours truly. And I'm not ready for that kind of commitment right now.
And you're right. And here's, puppies have changed apparently from when I previously had a dog, because now new dogs, my dog poops 47 times a day. I don't know why. I don't know if maybe we got a bad one. Maybe we got a Monday dog, But something's weird about it, because like I have never seen production like this.
Ramped up production. Yes. Okay. Duly noted. See, again, I'm
So be on the ready.
Okay.
But that actually is a perfect setup for why I wanted to talk about Flash today, because you and I have a lot of conversations about mindset and the value system that leaders bring to their work, and how important it is, how crucial it is to being able to do the work well. And I see so many parallels between the experience that we're having with this puppy and why mindset matters. So let me try to set this up in the way that it makes sense in my head. Okay. So if you know anything about Dalmatians, you know that they have a reputation for being high-strung. That's the first thing. When you tell somebody, we adopted a Dalmatian, it's remarkable the number of people who will go, oh, yeah, I heard that maybe they're not so good with kids, and they're a little high-strung. If you just do a little bit of reading about the breed, you learn a couple of things. First, Dalmatians are incredibly active. There are some who say that as a breed, they probably require more activity than perhaps any other breed. Dalmatians were bred to be carriage dogs, to run alongside carriages. And so no matter how active you are, you're not going to tire out your Dalmatian.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right, before you get tired. And second is that Dalmatians get very clingy. They bond very quickly with their families, and if they are not properly socialized very early on, because they are so bonded with their families, they see anyone outside of the immediate nuclear family as a threat. And so, yes, if a Dalmatian goes into a home with kids and they don't get vigorous exercise and they don't get really well socialized, they become high-strung, unhappy, mentally unhealthy animals.
Mm.
So we knew going in that if we were going to do this, we had to adhere to a couple of commitments, right? We knew that we needed to plan to give this dog vigorous activity as often as possible. So our standard is, can we give this animal 2 45-minute walks a day? And if we can swap out a walk with some really active play with the neighbor's dog, okay, that counts. But are we budgeting in our lives the time and effort that it takes to give the animal the physical activity that it needs?
Okay.
And that was one. The second was, how and where and when are we going to socialize the heck out of this dog so that it doesn't become aggressive, that it becomes friendly, that it learns to trust us when other people are around, that it doesn't become standoffish with other humans? And are we prepared to take the dog everywhere we go if possible, especially in that first year or two of its life, so that it's well socialized? Mm. And so these were commitments that we needed to make. We needed to create the proper environment for the dog to come into in order for that dog to be at its best.
Yeah.
Right? And so that was the first part of this. The second part of this is what it takes to teach a dog properly. So one of the first things that I wanted to work on is leash training with a dog. If you've ever seen a dog who has not been properly trained on a leash, you'll see somebody getting dragged.
Right.
Dragged? Which is the proper grammar? Dragged? I think it's
I don't
dragged.
know. I generally just see them trailing way behind their animal, and their arm is vigorously extended and they are trying to hold on for dear life. Yes.
I'm going to go with dragged. They're being dragged up the street, down the street. And then what ends up happening is my dog drags me all over the place, and it is really difficult to walk the dog, so I just give up. And now the dog isn't getting its exercise, and now the dog becomes mentally unstable, and et cetera, et cetera. So we wanted to leash train Flash as early as possible. And what you learn when you really start to read about how to do this well is that there are a couple of things that are crucial for me to do with the animal. The first is I have to be really positive, like positive attitude with the dog. I cannot have a really sophisticated set of demands for this animal right out of the gate. The first thing I need to do is bond with the animal, earn its trust, and coax it along. So I'm not pulling the dog. What they tell you is if you're trying to leash train a dog and the dog doesn't want to walk, you don't drag the dog. You're just creating resistance. You're teaching the dog that being on the leash is unpleasant. You need to coax the dog, whether it's with using a little treat or using your happy, come here, puppy voice, and doing the things to get the dog to follow you, to want to follow you.
Okay.
The second thing is you have to have reasonable expectations for what that animal is going to be capable of. The dog is not going to walk beautifully on the leash the first day or the second day or the 10th day. You've got to put in the work to make some baby steps. And so the first couple of days of leash training aren't really about walking on the leash. They're sort of just about getting used to being clipped on a leash and getting used to just when I take a step, you take a step. And then we progress toward walking, and then we progress toward walking with a loose leash, and then we progress toward, no, I'm leading. You're following. And so one of the things that I've thought a lot about in the many walks that Flash and I have been on together are the parallels between being a boss and bringing this kind of mindset. Because I have caught myself not having my positive attitude, being frustrated, yanking on the dog a little bit, and I've had to stop myself and say, hold on. You're not being positive. You're not being patient. Your expectations aren't reasonable right now. And so now you are creating an environment that is not going to result in this dog doing what you want it to do. Are you following me? Am I making sense here about why mindset matters?
I feel ya. So what we're saying is that it's the mindset of the boss that sets the environment in which people thrive or not thrive?
Or at least at a very basic level, what am I going for?
Okay.
Right? When I walk through the door at work, I know that I need to show up as A, B, and C if I want to earn people's trust and I want them to follow me where I'm asking them to go. What are A, B, and C? And how are you catching yourself when maybe you're not staying true to those?
Gotcha. Okay. That makes absolute sense. And as with everything that you put out into the world, it is a beautiful illustration and a wonderful story. And there are many things that I wrote down there about this level of expectations, right? Mm-hmm. So expectations contribute to mindset.
Yep.
Commitments, both to ourselves and to others, right? Contribute to mindset. What are some of the other things, again, just to highlight for our Boss Heroes, that you think most contribute to mindset?
I think clarity is important. I think doing the work ahead of time to sit down and say, what's most important? Where am I trying to go? What is the destination, right? I know ultimately the destination with Flash is that in a perfect world, I could walk down the trail with him with no leash. Gotcha. And he's going to stay right there next to me in the spot where I want him walking. And, folks listening to this, please understand, I am not trying to equate leading your people with training a dog to walk on a leash. That is not what this is. The analogy is in the work I did before entering that relationship with the dog.
Yes.
And getting the clarity on what I needed to focus on and be about, and then the noticing of when I wasn't sticking to that. That's the analogy. It's not that you're the pack leader, and you're going to let these folks know you poop when I tell you to poop, pal. That is not what this is.
That sounded very John Wayne-ish. I don't know if that's at all. But I would listen to you whenever you use that voice on me.
So that's what I think. And I think there's also alignment here, Alyssa, in so much of the work that you do as a coach in helping people define their values. Because this mindset and values piece are both about being clear. Who are you? What are you about? What are you trying to go for? Why are values and mindset linked? And how valuable are they when they are clear to a boss?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of linkage between those two very tactical things, right? And one of them you just said is that you set this mindset, right, with these commitments and these expectations and this kind of pre-work, right? And the same thing applies with our values. This is like what we are at our core, right? So these two things are innately within us. Mm-hmm. But then through noticing and self-awareness, we're trying to go, oh, okay, is this part of my mindset? Is this part of the values? Is this not jiving between either of those things? Mm-hmm. And that's whenever you got to go, oh, okay, I got to notice that. What am I going to do? I got to change trajectory. I got to change course because I'm not meeting my expectations or my commitments that I set out for in setting my mindset or in being authentic to my values.
Absolutely. I love it. That's perfect. We're going to continue to talk about values-based leadership and mindset on future shows in our podcast. We would be doing a disservice to you and to the topic by suggesting that we can compartmentalize this in a 20-minute podcast segment on one show. So we will continue to come back to this. I will continue to try to provide updates on Flash. I'm sure you will hear about it. What's funny is that you hear over and over again, Dalmatians need tons of exercise. My dog sleeps a lot. The other thing you hear is that I read that Dalmatians rarely bark. I read that it's not a behavior that they engage in a lot, that you could go years without hearing your dog bark. My dog never shuts up. So my dog sleeps a lot and never stops barking, and maybe we got a Monday dog. But he's a doll, and we love him to death, and you can see pictures over on my Instagram at JoeMall77. Hey, while you're out there on the internet, be sure to like our Boss Better Now podcast page on Facebook, where you can leave comments, ask questions, suggest ideas for the show, and more. And please also subscribe to the podcast. We really need you to write a review and tell others about our show so that we can continue to do something special here for you and for the boss community that we're trying to build. So please take a moment and do that this week. We'd really greatly appreciate it.